Through the wonders of technology, we are here, the High Noon Hemp Show, every Wednesday, noon Eastern Time on the Hemptations Beach Facebook page. You can also find us, of course, on YouTube on the Jedi Hemp channel. Subscribe there. And we're a podcast, as you may know or may not know, at this point on Podbean, Google, and now we're proud to announce iHeartRadio, which apparently is the number one place for podcasts.
They are. That's what I heard.
On iHeart, and I do believe now, Beach, that we're on iHeartRadio. There's not a single device that people cannot get this show on in some form. They can get apps.
Oh, my Lord.
They can get this show. So there's no excuse not to check
There you
out
have it,
me.
folks.
And, of course, Beach, who's at the Hemp Quarters in Sharonville. How excited are we, Beach, about all the great things that are going on?
Super excited sitting here. Welcome, everyone, to the High Noon Hemp Show. We are live every Wednesday at the Hemp Facebook page. And then my partner over there has said, all over, including iHeartRadio. And so, yes, you have no excuse to ever not be listening to me. You can listen to me in the car. You can watch me at home. You can switch back and forth. I mean, what else could there be in the world? And so there you have it. All things the High Noon Hemp Show, all over the internet, everywhere for your viewing and listening pleasure, folks. Great stuff. First thing I want to dive right into the Ohio Hemp Summit. Man, I'm just I just went up and set up my little volunteer booth that we'll see in a second. And then I did speak, but I was blown away by how many people were there. And I had a sneaky suspicion. Again, I've been talking about it. I'm not saying there was a lot of people there because I mentioned it on the High Noon Hemp Show. But I will say that I think with SB 57 passing and happening when it did, there is no more interest than now in farming industrial hemp and industrial hemp byproducts in the state of Ohio. And so this first picture is the booth. And what I really love about this, and this is the same thing as last year, what we love, I love that the Amish show up in droves because hemp is such a natural crop for the Amish. Between the building material aspect of it, the clothing aspect of it, the fiber aspect of it, the food aspect of it, all within this plant, they are very interested. If you don't know, there are quite a bit of Amish in the state of Ohio. And so I have seen them show up at hemp events before because they are very interested in growing industrial hemp, and because they understand it. Again, it's all natural, nature. They that is one of the core beliefs of the Amish people is if it doesn't come from nature, then it shouldn't exist. And there is a large fraction of the world that shouldn't exist to the Amish people. I have learned recently that they now are allowed to use someone else's machinery. So as long as the machinery doesn't belong to, that's right. They found as long as the machinery doesn't belong to the Amish, then they can use it. So go out to do a job somewhere else, and the person that they're doing the job for, or whatever, has a piece of machinery. They're allowed. They can use that piece of machinery, and so which is kind of an interesting thing. But anyway. The second photo, I believe, is a picture of me and a little bit of the crowd. And again, there was, this was a huge room divided up. This is, me doing my thing, which I pretty much dedicated to just all the different things we can do out of hemp and then how to process and manufacture them, because processing and manufacturing is the part in industrial hemp right now where we need more people to be opening up processing and manufacturing plants for industrial byproducts. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of extraction stuff on the CBD. I'm talking about everything but CBD, whether it's the fiber or even the food product or any of that stuff. That kind of manufacturing, that endless, I tell you, endless amount of manufacturing that we can do with industrial hemp, and really the byproduct of, and I talked a lot about this at the byproduct of why you may be, or the leftovers, I should say, of, if you're growing for seed or for flower, you still have stock. That whole stock is fiber. That whole stock is building material with the bast. What is growing is the word hurd. You'll hear the word hurd in industrial hemp. It's really called bast. Even the chips are kind of bast. It's not fiber, but anyway. And so there's, there was a lot of talk, and I was very emphatic about telling people, because a lot of the people there were in fact there to grow for CBD or to grow for grain. And I was like, make sure you find an outlet for that, for the rest of that. Don't just burn it like the Canadians do. Find somebody that's going to still be like the Canadians when it comes to hemp stock. And so, anyway, those are the things. And we actually have an interesting question for the question segment at the end of the show, kind of related to that very thing, as to, what are people doing with the leftovers? They're not, because they don't really think about it. And, right now, a lot of people are, I think, disposing of them because there isn't an easy outlet. And now we've got the hemp wood plant opening up, and there are more. Again, we need more manufacturers to take any part of the stalk, which contains, again, the fiber, the building, the hurd, the little chips, so to speak, of hemp stalk when it breaks up that way. And so, we need more and more places for that. And that was a big topic at the Ohio Hemp Summit. Representative Brent from Northern Ohio was there. I always love seeing her. She holds down the pro cannabis up in Northern Ohio. I'm not sure exactly where. I should know exactly where she is from, but Brent is her last name, Brent, and she is awesome. Maybe moving some other cannabis things forward soon. And so I will keep everyone abreast of that, even though it's not hemp related. Wink, wink. In the state of Ohio. And so, we are pro. When it comes to cannabis in all its dimensions, although we are the industrial hemp aspect here at the High Noon Hemp Show. And I have ventured into, for the first time, naming rights. So now, folks, if you listen, speaking of iHeartRadio, you can go to the iHeart app. If you listen to 102.3 The Beat here in Cincinnati, they are broadcasting live from the Hemptation studio. That's right. If you listen for even an hour, I think you'll hear that I forget. I just laid down a couple things explaining how that works. But no, the 102.3 studios are now officially the Hemptations studio. And so that's kind of exciting. I joked US Bank Arena is blank now. It is not actually US. It is blank Arena because they are looking for someone to name it. So
Hemptations Arena.
That'd be big. Hemptations Arena. Can you imagine?
That's the big time.
Going to see a college basketball game at Hemptations Arena.
The peak.
Oh man,
is an arena.
Could be the peak. It's true. All the people driving down 71, making a turn, they're like, whoa, they're trying to look in reverse. What was the name of that arena? Oh, shoot. Fun. But anyway, for now, we'll stick to 102.3 The Beat. Again, broadcasting from Hemptation Studio. So good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Now for the old product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door. I tell you, it's getting a little harder every day that I do this because we've gone through a lot of products. What you have to consider if you're a new viewer or possibly a new listener, is I have done this every episode. So we are now on episode 53. So if you take 4 times, that's 200 products. Now the first 100 were actually brands. Like that was separate brands. I went through 100 separate brands of hemp products that we sell at Hemptations. And now I'm just kind of focusing on all those brands and their kind of specific products that they may have inside the brand. And so that's still a lot of product. I told a couple people at the Ohio Hemp Summit, and I said, well, we have the largest selection of on the planet. Like, wow, you really think that's true? And I'm like, I wholeheartedly say, I haven't been saying it for like 10 years now.
And now we have video
and
proof.
I still haven't heard from anybody. We almost do have video proof for the Guinness Book of World Record. They can go back and look, artifacts proven. Anyway, so maybe someday we'll file for a Guinness Book of World Records because it costs money to do that.
Really?
Can you
That's
believe
awful.
it? Yeah, that is kind of awful. I think whether it's, unless it's one of the big things or something, and they can make a big deal about it, you actually have to pay money to file for a Guinness Book of World Records.
I think it's the same thing with like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They just buy those stars. It's really, we've all been lied to about the things we grew up in our childhood. It's an awful thing.
They just become available. Like people are just waiting for that spot to become available and for sale so they can be added to. That's why they always added to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They're probably not even on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They've just been added to it around the block, around the corner.
That's the side street.
For like $100,000 million for a 3x3 square on the sidewalk.
As far as the products go, maybe one day someone will want to cut out all the product spotlights and like string them all together in a single video, and it'll probably be a couple hours long, and then you'll have definitive video proof that no one can deny that it's Hemptations. It's the largest selection. That's it. If anybody wants to argue about that, we can take this outside and then argue about it out there.
That's right. Yeah, on a big screen, watching the video.
If you have a problem with
we can do it really fast. Yeah,
don't want to mess
do
with
it really
us.
fast and try to hypnotize people. Anyway, so let's get on with the product spotlight. Now that we have bragged about it so much, jeez, oh Pete,
They're awesome and great. There's so many of them.
That's right. That's true. The first one is the Blue Ridge Hemp Company. And these roll-ons are really nice. I actually was waiting on a customer the other day in the store, and he said, I'm dealing with stress headaches or headache period. And so I instantly was like, well, try these because this is specifically formulated for headache and stress. And again, you can kind of target that area. And so it's a nice little roll-on. They're not very big, but that way you can kind of target an area, if you do get a lot of headaches and stress. Not that the sublingual would help, I think there, a piece of gum, whatever, but I do think that actually targeting the surface area with a lot of tension, because I think even a little bit of that headache could be inflammation. And so, that's a nice little product just to carry around if that's something that you are looking to get relief from, that we have at the store every day. The next one is the Good Hemp lemon flavored water. Again, I think I did the cucumber mint already, but these are my two favorites, cucumber mint and the lemon twist. And I think these are 10 milligrams of CBD, non-carbonated. So it's just slightly flavored water, basically, with CBD in it. And so I usually drink, one of these. I have my seltzer, my Queen City seltzer a day, probably, and probably a Good Hemp a day as well, as far as getting CBD with water. And so get on into the store and get you one of those. Just try it. You may like it. I don't know. The next one is the Hemp Hood Lamb Sea Shepherd tea. Now, I don't know how many of these we have left in the store, and your best bet is to look either at in O'Brienville or possibly Sharonville. But the Sea Shepherd, if you don't know, these guys are the ones that are going out and they are hunting the whale hunters, basically. I don't know if they're still out there doing it. I'm sure they are. They were kind of big for a while, a couple TV shows out there about and they get themselves in seriously hostile situations. This is not some hippy dippy, tie-dye dudes on a cruise ship, with flags, with banners up in the air saying, "Stop killing whales." These dudes were taking shots. And anyway, Hemp Hoodlam did a whole line of Sea Shepherd, and hopefully they still do. I haven't picked up any new hemp hoodlam for a couple of years, but and I think that they then donated some of that to the Sea Shepherds because it was basically a volunteer organization of guys that were just nuts going out there and literally stopping these huge whaling vessels and whatnot. And so protecting the Sea Shepherds are holding it down. That's for sure. And trust me, there's a lot of sea out there that needs help. There's no doubt about that. Whether it's whale hunting or pollution dumping, the sea needs help. The oceans need help. So good for the Sea Shepherds. And there's a hemp hoodlam tee that you can wear and support the Sea Shepherds. The last one is a Grassroots California hat, just a regular old hat. I really kind of like this design. It kind of looks very Mayan, Aztec-y, kind of South American. Got a little bit of a sun kind of in there with the natural colors. But, I love my hats. I don't have one of these yet, so you better get into the store quick before I find mine. So I can wear it. I always try to give hats at least a couple months in the stores before I go and grab one. And sometimes I'm even unlucky and I don't get one of the style that I really want. I got to give the customers a choice first sometimes. Most would argue because I have enough hats. Ironically, today's the first day I haven't worn a hat in a while, but I think I'm up to about 50 different hats in a row, possibly at this point anyway. So there they are, 4 from the store. Again, all those products should be in the stores. If they're not, then ask someone at that location to call another location to see if we can get it over there from that location, or maybe possibly ordered to get it in, because that's what we do 7 days a week at Hemptations, is provide the world with the largest selection of hemp on the planet to prove that hemp should be in all the products in the world.
Indeed. And if you don't see a product that you saw on here, don't just say, hey, I saw this on the Facebook show. Say, I saw this product on the world famous High Noon Hemp Show. Can you please get it in stock?
That's right. That's exactly how I would describe it. Even if you go to your local hemp merchant, describe it like that. That's I saw this on the High Noon Hemp Show. You need to get this in.
Right. The world famous High Noon Hemp Show.
World famous, internationally known. The last one, just some simple old, the one from my door, 4 from the store, 1 from my door, and the product spotlight. This one's just some simple old hand towels. We have them everywhere around the house, everywhere around the building. Here, these are the ones hanging in the bathroom here in Sharonville. High above the Hemptations location. This was something made at Planet Everywhere. It's something we did. Just, again, simple hand towel, nothing miraculous about it. But again, I carry a cup. We dyed a handful of them, but most of them are just natural colored, or natural non-dyed. And so these hand towels have become a personal favorite of mine because I pretty much carry them everywhere I go. And if you don't know, from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, having a towel on you at all times is a universal priority. I'm ready.
Indeed. Be ready for any occasion.
Any and all occasions. So there they are, 4 from the store, 1 from my door. Now, on to what I know is Joe's favorite segment.
It's the segment that made us world famous. The reason we are the world famous High Noon Hemp Show. There's obviously, there's products and there's information and entertainment and such, but nothing compares to the beachwear segment, where we ask the most important question ever asked on the internet: what are you wearing beach?
If you did wake up this morning with a thought in your head, and that thought was, what are you wearing beach? Well, now you're going to know. For once, like I said, I'm not wearing a hat. This is, in fact, a headband that was made at Planet Everywhere as well, in the old No Sweat shop. And so there's maybe a handful of these left on the shelves in the stores. But as far as a non-hat, I have to have something on my head, apparently. I can't go without something on my head. So that's the headband. This is a Young Maven tea with the old Bunbury. We vended at Bunbury for the first couple of years. We were one of the top 10 things to do at Bunbury, according to Cincinnati Enquirer. One year, go to the Hemptations booth. Dash Hemp shorts. Dash Hemp is some great stuff out there. Go to their website. We don't have a whole lot of their products left in the store, a little bit here and there. But they have been around for a long time and still make quality hemp products. And so you can check them out online. Old pair of head case briefs with my Satori green leaf socks. And again, you can tell that these are one of my oldest pairs of Adidas shell toes because of how dirty they are and well worn. I think they were beyond. They figured out their canvas issue by the time these particular ones came around, because there's no wear in the front of the shoe, which kind of happened with some of the very original ones. And so if you woke up this morning and said, and don't forget my Green Springs pen right there in my pocket. Right. You can barely see it, but it's there. I don't want to forget about that with me every day. So if you did wake up this morning, you're wondering, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know. It's kind of a bright green tennis kind of. I kind of look at myself as like I'm going out to play tennis in this outfit, to be honest with you. So if you need a tennis outfit, there's a great tennis outfit. All hemp.
And people will recognize you because, as I've mentioned probably too many times at this point, we are the world famous High Noon Hemp Show. They'll say, "Hi, I saw that outfit. That's Beach, right?"
Yeah.
You say, "Of course it is." And you have a nice conversation about hemp.
I do believe I did actually wear the shirt and headband in one of the commercials once too, where I was fake jogging. And so not only this,
commercial jogging.
My fake jogging now. I mean, I just went back into film and someone say cut. I'll have to look for that commercial. Maybe we'll try to get that on the High Noon Hemp Show next week. The old the fake jogging commercial. That was a good one. It was a good one. I was trying to make kind of a fake parody of a pharmaceutical commercial. And it actually turned out pretty decent. So I'll have to find that and get that out there either next week or get it up at the Hemptations Beach Facebook page and all that good stuff. Let's get on to a little bit of news and events, man, because I do have some questions. And so, I hate to feel like I'm running through it, but a lot of stuff on the High Noon Hemp Show.
That's right.
Again, you can find us at YouTube if you want to watch the video on your leisurely time at the Jedi Hemp channel. You can find us now at the iHeart Podcast Center, whatever that means, I guess, as well as Google Play and Podbean and all that for the podcast version of the show. And of course, all these links are, I have to get one, I guess, to the iHeart somehow on the front page, but most links are on the hemptations.com. All the events that I talk about here on the show are on the second page of hemptations.com. So if I mention an event that you may be interested in, you can go there and remind yourself. I might have a little bit more information, or you can at least be like, what was that? Okay, there. This first pick in the old news segment is kind of fun. One of our regular viewers, Amanda, sent this to me last week, and she was correct. These are pretty dang cool. This is a shoe being made, or a prototype of a shoe that someone's thinking about making. And again, I believe they're going to use, once again, the scraps, so to speak, of a hemp crop to kind of do this. And you see these, I think that's a real leaf in the in the top picture of that shoe. And so again, I think this is a company that's, I don't know, I hope it's not a Kickstarter thing, because I hate those. Just make them or don't make them. Don't ask me for the money to make what it's a great idea. But anyway, I'll kind of I'll keep us updated to see if these shoes actually go to production, or if they are available in the world. They may be available right now. I'll have to check into it a little bit more to purchase online. I know they're overseas somewhere. I'm pretty sure about that. So anyway, that's kind of fun. This next one I just found someone in the hemp world posted a picture of these out there, and so then I'm going to have to check on these too, and hopefully maybe get these in the stores. But this is the Earth Excel multi-purpose cleaning wet wipes with hemp fiber. And so I'm a big fan of wipes. Wet wipes, actually, camping, I mean, they're great if you're out on the road or whatever. The fact that they would be hemp fiber, again, would make them so much more friendly to the earth. And so I'm kind of excited. I'm going to go out and see if I can find these to get them into the store one way or another. And again, try to get them up on the website, which I need to do a better job of adding products to. But it's a lot of work, man. I need like a whole nother division. I can only do so much. Someone asked me about, my brother asked me the other day what I thought if someone cloned me, and I'd be like, man, it would be delightful. Jeez, man, give me 7 clones. I can put them all at the head of some division of something. Focus on the High Noon Hemp Show more. Anyway, so
we have a daily show with beach clones.
That's right. That's right. I have a daily show. Each day would be a different clone. That's brilliant. I love it. I would let them have full control on what they wanted to do. Let's roll through some events here real quick. Quite a little bit going on in October. This weekend, you have the Pennsylvania Cannabis Festival in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. You can go to pencannafest.com. And again, I'll post this all up at hemptations.com, the second page, hopefully by the end of the day. Excuse me. And also the 4th, you have the Kentucky Hemp Harvest Fest dinner in Winchester, Kentucky, which is basically going on with October 5th, the Hemp Harvest Festival in Winchester, Kentucky. So the Hemp Harvest Festival is this weekend in Winchester, and they are doing a Hemp Harvest dinner on October 4th as well. Got Jack's, the Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament is the 4th. Out in California, and so I'm sure if you're not part of that yet, you won't be. But that's a good charity event, I think, going on. I'm not sure for the Jack Air Foundation, obviously, the god of all things hemp research. October 17th. Oh no, I'm sorry, October 5th. This is kind of interesting. There's CBD and industrial hemp talk, I guess, or something. It's at 10:30, but it's at the New York Law School in New York, New York. And so if you're interested, I guess, in the law, I don't know if it's on the law or just on CBD and industrial hemp in New York. I know they have some funny laws in New York regarding industrial hemp. So I would definitely, if you're thinking about getting involved in growing or CBD or whatnot, I would definitely do some research there one way or another, because I know that the legislative body there is kind of doing some weird things with industrial hemp. And so, if you're in New York, pay attention to that. October 17th, you've got the Henry Clay Hemp Social down in Lexington at Ashland Park in Lexington. October 18th, you have the Hemp Harvest Party in Longmont, Colorado. A lot of industrial hemp growing in Colorado, that's for sure. October 19th, I would just like to first and foremost congratulate Franny. This, I think, is the 1-year anniversary of the Franny's Pharmacy in Asheville, North Carolina. And I've been down to Franny's farm where they grow hemp. Just a really cool place to be, for one thing. And of course, Asheville's really close. And so if you're in the Asheville area, October 19th, they're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Franny's Pharmacy. October 19th, also, if you're in Eau Claire, Michigan, you got the Eau Claire's first annual Hemp and Harvest Festival. So if you're anywhere near Eau Claire, Michigan, that sounds kind of like a fun hemp event. And again, they're I don't know how much hemp they're really growing in Michigan, but they're growing a lot of cannabis for other reasons, because they are medical and personal use. And so I don't know if there's a lot of hemp being grown just because that's the case, and I know hemp is legal, don't get me wrong, because I know some hemp farmers up in Michigan. I just don't know how many hemp farmers there are really in Michigan. And so we'll find out soon, I suppose, when the numbers come out from this year's crop, which we are eagerly awaiting the hemp crop report. feel like trading places now. And so it's going to be really interesting to see across the country what how much hemp was grown for what, blah, blah, blah. Then end of October, out in Ketchum, Idaho, you've got a hemp building summit, 24th and 25th. So if you're interested in the hemp building part of it, and a lot of people are, again, everybody picked up the piece of concrete that I have, the hempcrete that I have, and every person that picks it up says they can't believe how light it is. Every person, I'm not kidding you, every person that picks up this sample piece says that to me. Can't believe how light it is. But anyway, hempcrete is the future of one of the more environmentally forms of mass producing stuff. And so I think there's a lot of testing still needed out there to prove certain things, but the house in Asheville is still standing. You can rent a house built out of hempcrete on Airbnb, and so I find it hard to believe that it, can't be approved legally with all the building standards or whatnot. But we did just see here in Cincinnati, and I mentioned it before, that the city of Cincinnati did in fact denied a permit to an architect who wanted to build with hempcrete. So. We're still in weird places when it comes to stuff like that. Some places they're just building everything with it, and other places are like, nope. We are one of those places. And then November 1st, you've got the Hemp Industries Association through the 4th, their conference down in Charlotte, North Carolina as well. So there's a bunch of events to get you through October. Hemp related. Again, I'll get all this stuff up on the website, hemptations.com, on the second page. And I do have some questions. So as we get on to the last segment of the show, which we haven't done in a while, but is officially a part of the show.
It's officially known as, Ask Beach Anything. It could be hemp, CBD, about the products, or anything you think Beach might know. Maybe you want to stump Beach and make him make a fool of himself on live Facebook television. I don't know. Whatever you want to ask, you can ask, because it's Ask Beach Anything. And we try to get questions, but this is what I pointed out before, and people are probably tired of hearing me whine about Facebook, but they're not the best with letting people on Facebook interact with the people that are watching them on Facebook and getting some questions from them and actually showing them what's going on with the people that they like and follow on Facebook. So
that's true.
It's not easy.
But this week, actually, this week I want to thank everybody because I actually had some success. I posted a post on Monday, and we actually got some questions. So let's get on with those real quick. John, another longtime viewer, longtime awesome hemp educator and all things hemp, ask, and I think he's mentioned this before on the show, about turning marijuana stalks into hemp products. If there's anybody doing that, I will have to say that Doug Flight from Wink and Son Hemp did reply back to that. Also, longtime hemp educator and now hemp farmer, hemp store owner over in West Virginia. He mentioned a company called Strain Canes, and I haven't had a chance to go and see what that is. I would assume that those are canes, walking canes, made out of hemp, maybe the hemp stalk, which, someone told me, and they brought this up, which is interesting now that I talk about that. A hemp stalk, I believe a fresh hemp stalk could make a great fishing pole. Well, just because a fisherman walked up to our, he looked at the hemp stalks in my hemp bale, because I have them bundled up, whole hemp stalks. And he said, man, I wonder if that would make a good fishing pole, like a bamboo rod, and I was like, wow, I've never thought about that. I mean, I think a fresh hemp stalk right out of the ground, freshly cut, would be, I think you could catch a shark with it because it would be so strong. I mean, these, and if you had a 12-foot plant, you'd want that fiber inside. Don't get me wrong, but to make a fishing pole out of it, I think you could reel in a decently sized fish with a hemp stalk fishing pole as well. And so, I was, John, I was pretty adamant to, again, the farmers out there, the proposed farmers, and people want to get into it, about making sure that doesn't become waste. And I hope we'll do a little bit of research. And if you know of anybody, let me know. But and anybody out there, if you know of anybody using their scraps, more or less, that leftover stalk products. So if they're growing for flour for any reason, or they're growing for grain, they're not using the rest of that. If there's, and I do want to mention, I know, because one of the local CBD companies, and I'm not saying I had a little influence over these young men's lives, but he told me that I had a lot of influence over their lives. They're growing for CBD. But they're using and I don't know how really they're doing it in the long run, but they're using their scraps, their stalks, byproducts, to make hemp plastic for crop cover. And so, they take their waste and then they turn it over to, and it's not really crop cover. It's really just a cover of the ground to keep weeds and everything else from competing with the plant. When you're growing a plant that's spread out in the field, more or less, they use, you see the big rolls of black plastic that they put down the row, and they put a little hole, and then the plant kind of goes up. Well, they're making hemp. They're using their scraps to make that hemp plastic out of. And so I was like blown away by that ingenuity, because they're growing for CBD. And again, these are local, a little get warm inside when I think about it. Local kids that he said he's been coming in the hemp store or in the Hemptations in O'Brienville all his life, practically, since he was a teenager, I think. And so, there are things to do with that material. Again, this kind of goes back on what I was talking about earlier, as far as manufacturing. I need to, and I can't wait to have a conversation with him. Okay, well, so who makes that for you? So I can turn everybody onto that, all the other hemp farmers onto that, if they've got these scrap products, because it's genius. And so, it's all being done. It's just a matter of everybody now needs to communicate with how it's getting done more, and to find out where to get these things processed and manufactured. And so that's pretty cool when it comes to the stalk waste material, whether it's from marijuana, cannabis growing, or CBD, or hemp grain growing. There's something to be done with that, and we should all those people should be hopefully finding an outlet to do that. The next question is it legal to smoke hemp flower in public? And the answer to that is heck yeah, it is. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, I know in Ohio, with SB 57 and all the clarifying goes, obviously it's real easy to say that, but there's no reason why you couldn't take hemp flower anywhere in the United States, in my opinion, and be able to smoke it where you can smoke a cigarette. And so, that's there is zero difference in the law when it comes to a hemp flower cigarette in any form, or I don't care, you put it in your hand pipe, doesn't matter. It's 100% legal to smoke. Put it in your water pipe, to smoke anywhere that you can smoke tobacco, because it's 100% legal. 100% legal. And so now there are a couple states, Indiana just said, hey, hemp flower is legal. And so therefore, because they were trying to say all other forms of CBD were legal, and they were trying to make hemp flower illegal. Federal judge said, nope, that is unconstitutional. North Carolina is trying to do the same thing in their legislative body. And there are 2 states out there, I think South Carolina and one other, and I should know what they are, but there are 2 states, I believe, that have also made hemp flower illegal. Okay, and so you can go get your CBD in any other way you want, but you can't get it in its raw, natural form, which is just absurd. Is that, again, and we're everywhere in every state that does this. Indiana is setting the precedent because it went that far, and now that's precedent. They're going to be the same way. You can't say that you can have vitamin C in every form but the actual orange. It's just, you think about that. It's just absurd to think, that would be. But, those are, again, trials and tribulations, literal trials and tribulations of the budding cannabis industries that are popping up there. But I would definitely say, state of Ohio, you can definitely go out. You're gonna get some looks. You're gonna, you might get somebody that calls the cops on you. But in all honesty, the cops come, you say, hey, this is CBD. There's no THC in this. What you gonna do? And chances are you walk away with them doing nothing. I might, go down to the Bengals game and go to the smoking section, and I don't think there actually. I feel like there is one, but there might not be. And just see, the controversy that would start. No one would pay attention because half the people there would then just pull out their cannabis and start smoking and be like, "Well, somebody else is doing it. I'm doing it
here. That's all right."
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, anyway. But yes, CBD flower in public smoking anywhere that you can smoke tobacco. You should be 100% legally able to smoke hemp flower. And so, yes. Okay, this is a kind of a question. And I was actually talking to someone about this weekend. It's as legal as CBD. So how was THCV first isolated and bred to high numbers? When they say THCV, here's what's 0.3% or less. Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay. Now that's one, just like CBD is one isolate. We also have CBDG and all these other CBDs. You also have all these other THCs. So you have THCV and you also have THCA. And ironically, I was talking to a tester this week. He's got the contract to test stuff in the state of Ohio, and he said you would be blown away by the amount of THCA, and I think V as well, possibly. Now we're gonna, he told me I think A specifically, which will get you high, which you could legally have in your CBD product. I think we actually may, and I'm curious if that makes you test positive, because I feel like there might be even something, because again, we could be getting product that was 0.3% or less THC tetrahydrocannabinol, but still be a certain percentage of one of the other THCs. Now, if I was to guess where it was first isolated, I would probably say Europe. I don't know for sure. But to be honest with you, most of cannabis isolates were first discovered over in Europe or in some other country. Again, that's why I know that's where the original CBD research came out of there, because they were more open to be able to at least study. Whereas here, not so much. And so I'm just guessing. I don't know, but a lot of cannabis isolates were I don't want to say discovered, but separated, or I guess discovered in somewhere else, not the United States, because we haven't been able to legally do medical research here. And so even if they were discovered here by someone, they really couldn't take claim to it, I don't think, medically, because that's just not how it works. And in the United States. And so, bred into the high number, just like everything else. I believe cannabis is the most genetically modified by human plant out there ever. We've been doing it since we started growing industrial hemp or hemp cannabis 10,000 years ago for its industrial purposes. And we have now been doing it for 3,000 to 4,000 years, probably, for its medicinal purposes. And so, because it's the male and the female, because it's so easy to breed, it is a very easy plant to breed. That's why we have found, 90% of what exists today is just breeding genetics from 4, 6, maybe 8 original plants to get where we are, just like the dog. If you don't know, we get the dog, all dogs, every dog out there exists from a descendant from 1 or 2 different wolves. All of them. And again, and so, anything that you can have a male and a female that breeds, basically, you can, and again, we're genetically modifying them by saying, okay, we know this one does this, so we're going to use the male plant here and the female plant here to make this because we know that this works. And then we discover new stuff by doing that too, as far as breeding. Like, what do we get when we breed this female with this male, or this species, subspecies, so to speak? When it comes to industrial hemp, there's thousands now, thousands and thousands of cannabis, I should say, thousands and thousands of subspecies, or cultivars, as we would call them in the farming industry, or strains, as you may call them in the medicinal or personal use industry. And again, humans have done all that. We've done it all. We have, we are continuing. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the geek herbologists, or no, the breeders, because it's there's some geekiness to it. There's some science to it. There's some, unfortunately, we're also seeing a little bit. That's where we've seen a lot more chemical additives to recreational or personal use medicinal cannabis, as far as this breeding goes, because they're always looking for this superior thing. And so now we need to actually go back, I think, to just focusing on natural, not having to give it this particular nutrient, to make sure that, and go back to kind of more natural plant breeding, organic, so to speak. I mean, I want all my cannabis to be organic if it can be. And so, the bred to high number is, again, that's just somebody out there that knew that this plant did this and this plant does this, and then all of a sudden, that's how it's all done in the plant breeding world, so to speak. And cannabis is the most bred plant on the planet, no doubt in my mind about that. Last question is non-cannabis related, but I'm going to throw it out there real quick, and really it's just comments on the vaping epidemic. And, my only comment is it sucks that all this shit's going down, but, what it's proving in the long run is the fact that if cannabis was legal for all its purposes, and we could test all the products and make sure that all the products were safe and it wasn't black market stuff going on, none of this would be happening. Or it would be a very small scale, because they would catch it quick, and then the company would be like, okay, we didn't know, we'll stop doing that. And so, we're not seeing any problems with any products where, in all honesty, although I did just see supposedly someone where they did just walk into the local store and buy the product, and then all of a sudden they had problems. But I didn't get a product name until I really see product names other than these black market products. Or, and I know there is one out there, and I think they might be illegal still in some states. And so again, it's checks and measures. The industries are getting so big that even in a legitimate industry, all of a sudden somebody in a legal state, because they're trying to cut corners, or somebody offered them a product that they don't know anything about to base their product in, all of a sudden they've got this whole line of stuff, and it's not safe. And so again, I think that, being very careful about obviously what we ingest and how we ingest it, and, and things like that. That's a big deal. And this is obviously something that I don't know if it could have been avoided because the market's so big, but it just seems odd now that it's happening now, especially when, the vape industry, as far as a commodity industry to retail obligations, I think we're like on our way down out of about like a 5-year time, 5 years ago is when the vaping thing really hit with just the flavored vapes and whatever. And now we're kind of, I know the kids still think all that stuff is cool for whatever reason. And there's a vape shop on every other corner. And that's not what's related to this. At first they tried to make it a flavoring thing just so they could outlaw flavoring for whatever reason. It's not related to that at all. It's related to the bases that these people are using to put their THC in or their nicotine or whatever, contain unsafe compounds, and in small, again, very small. When you vape, man, that's tiny. Goes, if it's small enough to go right through the lungs and into your system, boom, that's in your system. And so obviously being careful as to what we use for those products and how we use those products is important. That's what hopefully we'll learn, and the government will learn out of this, is just make it legal, and so we don't have to, and then everybody can be tested and can brag about having a good health, not healthy, but clean product, I should say. I don't want to call it healthy because I'm not saying it's healthy. But if people want to ingest things that way, then at least it should be a clean product. I mean, I've never liked PG or whatever the other common base is for vape stuff. Again, I've never been convinced myself that stuff was even, and that's like 98%, I think, of the base for flavored vape juice. So anyway, I know, you got to have a formula to get it in there one way or another, but just look for a clean outlet. Be careful of
add that
black market.
Yeah, we've been covering this, the Marijuana Times, for the last month pretty extensively. Last numbers I heard were 12 dead, over 800 hospitalizations, 46 states, mostly from bootleg THC vapes. Apparently, first they thought it was vitamin E acetate that people were cutting the THC vapor, liquid with. But NBC News did a test on some bootleg vapes they got a hold of. And apparently some people were still using a pesticide that's banned in like Canada and California and a couple other states. But when it's concentrated and then vaporized, it becomes hydrogen cyanide, which is what they made Zyklon B with in the World War II and the Holocaust. And they had like 10 vapes, and they found it in all 10 bootleg vapes that they tested. And they think that might be a common denominator in what people are going through. I will say this: I don't care what the packaging is, I don't care what sticker is on. You can buy that crap online. If it's some dude offering you a THC vape for 30, 40, 50 bucks, it's fake. If it's real, it's going to be 90, 100 bucks. There's no way they can make money on it unless they stole a bunch of it or made it themselves. Do not do it. I've been telling people, everybody. Somebody sent to me yesterday. They're thinking about a bootleg THC vape. I said, no, don't. Just do not.
Right.
There's no reason to take the risk.
No, right now for sure, sure. And so, know your source. Know your source better than just the local guy that's down on the corner, so to speak, or whatnot. I don't know.
The packaging looks real.
Yeah, there is a lot of
selling it. They stopped selling it. A bunch of people have stopped selling it, but there's still a lot of it out there. There's even stickers. They're supposed to look like the stickers in California that say this is a Prop 64 approved product, and they slap those stickers on there. And people think it's real. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah. Anybody can make a package. It's true. Yeah. I could print out a little box, fancy looking little box that looks like it's. I get it. So the lesson there again, folks, is be careful. Be careful. Absolutely. This is no different than when we had problems with people using chemicals on cannabis, which I think was a thing more kind of in the 80s. That had to get checked because, again, they thought they were doing themselves a favor by using these pesticides and herbicides and whatever on their cannabis plants. And by the time you got to the smokable, usable stuff, you were literally ingesting. And I think I still get that. Don't get me wrong, once again, because I can't go to the store and look at the package. It says organic on it. I still don't know wholeheartedly that, you don't know that you're not getting pesticide and herbicide laced cannabis that you're taking home and once again smoking right into your lungs. And so, that's just once again another reason why it needs to be legal federally. It needs to be legal in the states. We need to put the checks and balances in place so we can feel good about going out and buying our nature. Just want to buy my nature. And I want to have a good source for it. And so anyway, well, there you have it, folks. Man, that was a long show. We got it all in.
Hey,
hope everybody stuck with us. But appreciate all the questions. I will put that post out there every Monday now, since we got a little bit of response. I know I didn't really answer most of them. Maybe I can go do a little research on a couple of these and come back next week and have some more specific stuff, especially on the hemp byproducts from the marijuana stocks, because I would love to have those in the store if I could somehow. I don't know how they could prove that they came from marijuana. And that's what I've been saying all along is, if you're going to make a pair of jeans out of the hemp, who cares if it's 78% THC? That makes no difference whatsoever. If you're going to make a piece of paper out of the hemp, again, what it could be 400%. No, 400%. Yeah, again, the THC content matters not. Again, because that becomes waste material. I mean, if you're growing for fiber and the flower has 5% THC in it, again, that's going to go to waste product at that point, probably. And so anyway, it's just it's so ridiculous sometimes when you think about it. Again, it's like now we got to make up certain THC rules for CBD, but again, we don't need those. We don't need any THC rules to make a t-shirt out of it. It's just ridiculous to even have that. And I did just say recently, I predict that the next farm bill they will hopefully change the THC, either bring it up or once again, kind of figure out how to not care when you're not growing for THC, CBD, whatever. And so, we'll see how that goes. That's kind of one of the future hurdles, is actually caring what the THC content is on something. I guarantee the Chinese don't care if that goes to flour when they make 60% of the fiber that they send to us. They don't care if that's got THC in it. They don't test it. I guarantee it. I find it hard to believe that the Canadians that are sending us all the hemp seed, been growing forever, I fail to believe that they actually go out and care what the freaking THC is of those grain fields that they know every year. They go get the grain, they shake it, they process it, all the rest of it's gets burnt, goes waste product or whatever, and so they don't care what the THC content is long run. I'm sure it's low, either way, but they're not testing it to find out. And that is something we're going through right now, and I'll keep everybody abreasted. I did just see somebody else popped a bunch of hot. One company suing one company because they didn't send them enough female seeds, and that's a big thing in Lexington. That's $1 million suit going on. I'll touch on that maybe a little bit more next week. Well, thanks everybody. Man, what a long show. I almost feel wore out. As always, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having Hemptations.
See you all next week.